Welcome to Built to Finish. I'm your host, Steven Pivnik. Join me each week as we explore the journeys of audacious goal setters. This includes experienced founders, CEOs, and entrepreneurs sharing pivotal moments that propel their success. We'll also be talking with endurance athletes who push the limits of physical and mental ability. This show is brought to you by Acclimatization, offering tailored, high-impact advisory services to help founders get to their finish line with a strategic acquisition or majority investor recapitalization. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Built to Finish podcast. Today's guest is me. I'm recording this episode from Mount Everest Base Camp on the north side in Tibet, China. Right there behind me is Mount Everest. Unfortunately, it's covered in clouds right now, but trust me, it's there and it's been there for the last 5 days that we've been living in base camp, and we're on our way up higher on the mountain tomorrow. So I'll be recording the majority of this podcast in my tent and answer all of your questions. Let's get started. What adventure goals remain after Mount Everest is the first question. I don't have anything that I'm signed up for, but there's many adventures that are in my mind. I have attempted to summit Mount McKinley twice in Alaska unsuccessfully, so I may want to go back there. There's a ultra triathlon called Ultraman in Florida, which I've attempted to complete twice unsuccessfully, so I may sign up for that. And I've always wanted to ride my bicycle across America, so I may do that next, but again, not signed up for anything currently. Are there any inventions, methods you will be using that weren't possible 10 years ago that make things a lot easier today? Absolutely. First of all, every single piece of gear that I just mentioned has become significantly more sophisticated, a lot lighter, and much more technical to keep everybody warm on the mountain. So the gear is much more sophisticated. But the biggest thing that we're using specifically on this expedition is called the Rapid Ascent Program by Alpenglow Expeditions. What they do is they send you a hypoxico tent. So you sleep in this tent, which is connected to a machine which generates hydrogen. Hydrogen mixed with oxygen basically fools your body into thinking it's at altitude. And there's various settings on the machine to specify exactly what altitude you want your body to think it's at. And therefore you build up red blood cells so that when you arrive on the mountain, your body already thinks it's been here for a month. So unlike other expeditions, which require climbers to live at base camp for about a month to start the acclimatization process, we've actually been pre-acclimatizing at home and arrive here pretty much ready to go up the mountain, shortening our trip from 2.5 months to just about 40 days. Next question is, how much clothes are you able to bring along? I'll quickly read off the packing list that we're provided, and this is just an excerpt from it. Lightweight top, sun hoodie, long sleeve base layers, midweight warm layer, midweight puffy jacket, soft shell jacket, hard shell jacket, down parka, base layer bottoms, base layer, hiking pants, soft shell alpine pants, hard shell climbing pants, insulated pants. The list goes on and on. Basically, it's a bunch of layers, both top and bottom, many jackets, including, a parka and a summit suit. There's a laundry list of things that need to be brought in order to be as comfortable as possible on the way up and then down the mountain. Next question is, what is the bathing situation and self-care like in below freezing temperatures and at high altitudes? Fortunately, at this specific base camp, because of the company that we're with, Alpenglow Expeditions, we actually have a shower at base camp, which is a really nice luxury. And when showers are not available higher up, it's basically wet wipes. That's, probably TMI, but wet wipes is the way to go for personal hygiene and self-care as you ascend any mountain. How does it feel to be the 7th millionth person to be carried up Everest? First of all, nobody's ever carried up Everest. Unfortunately, there are a couple of guiding companies that give mountaineering a bad reputation, especially on Everest, by completely pampering their clients, carrying every single possible pound of load for them, and giving them more oxygen than any other climber on the mountain is receiving, which in my opinion completely takes away from the experience of the challenge that is Mount Everest. So yes, there are some unethical companies out there, and as a result, people think that climbers are carried up the mountain. But even those people are never carried up the mountain. It's a Herculean effort, no matter how you put it. And we're going with a company that's going to give us the most incredible experience, and it's going to make us earn our summit. When was the moment you decided that you were going to summit Everest? So I've been mountaineering for about 10 years. I started with Mount Rainier in Washington State, and after summiting it, I really wanted to go after the higher mountains and all 7 summits, the highest peaks on all 7 continents. I wasn't going to do Everest for a very long time, mainly because the length of the trip is typically 2.5 months. But when I learned about Alpenglow Expeditions, which is the guiding company I'm using here, and their rapid ascent program, which cuts down a trip to about 40 days from 2.5 months via a special pre-acclimatization process, I knew that this was something I was going to do. So that decision was made about a year ago. So I've been training for a year for this, and we're about to head up the mountain tomorrow. Next question is, what other climbs have you done to prepare for this? So I've attempted Denali in Alaska twice. That was phenomenal preparation for Everest. I've summited Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa. I've summited Mount Aconcagua in South America, which is second highest of the 7 summits to Everest. And I've done Mount Rainier and several other smaller peaks. So I've got, some experience. I'm far from an expert mountaineer, but I've got enough experience under my belt to attempt Everest. Next question is, how do you motivate yourself to push through? Yeah, pushing through is challenging. Many expeditions or races have a lot of tough times, and there's going to be many, many challenging and tough times ahead. When they occur, I just remind myself why I signed up for these things. There's a lot of reasons, the mental, the physical challenge, but mainly from a motivational perspective, I just want to motivate others, specifically my children, to set audacious goals and to accomplish big things. With that as a constant reminder, it helps me push through the tough times. Next question is, how do you soothe or dismiss anxieties about your journey? I soothe my anxieties just by being comforted that I'm with experts that know exactly what they're doing. I did a lot of due diligence on various guiding companies that take customers to Mount Everest, and I'm pretty comfortable in knowing that I've selected the best of the best, and that gives me a lot of comfort that this expedition is going to be as safe as humanly possible. I may not summit, but I will return home alive. Would you ever do K2? My feeling right now is absolutely not, because on that mountain, it's almost impossible to mitigate all of the risk. All mountaineering trips have a lot of risk, but on the majority of the mountains, they are mitigated. K2 is considered a death trap by a lot of mountaineers. So odds are I will not be doing K2, but I never say never. Would you ever do anything this difficult again? Whenever I race triathlons, marathons, ultramarathons, during the event itself, I swear to myself that I will never do anything like this again. And of course, a month or two later, I'm signed up for something equally as challenging or more. So right now, the answer is absolutely not, but I guarantee you I will do something this challenging again. Once you start, how long does it take you to get to the top? So it's kind of a long answer. It takes about a month from the day you get to base camp, and it all depends on weather. We have multiple stops along the route. We start at base camp, which is at 17,000 feet. Then we go to intermediary camp, which is 19,000 feet. From there, we go to advanced base camp at 21,000 feet. Now, we're spending 1 to multiple nights at each location, depending on a variety of factors. From ABC camp, we go to North Col, which is at 23,000 feet. Then Camp 2 at 24,000 feet. Then our final camp is Camp 3 at 26,000 feet. And finally, the summit is at 29,000 feet. Movement up and down the mountain just depends on the strength of the team and weather conditions. Next question is, how cold is it? Temperatures range. In base camp, the average temperature at night has been from -3 to about 15, and it gets into the mid to high 20s during the day. But with the sun out, it literally feels like it's 50 degrees outside, balmy. As we go higher up, it's going to get to as low as -30 degrees, and -30 is the same Celsius and Fahrenheit, with 10 to 30 mile an hour winds possible. So how cold does it get? The answer is very, and that's why we have many layers of clothes, highly technical clothes, to protect us from that cold. Pay your Sherpas well. It's really not a question, but yes, our Sherpas are paid incredibly well. Alpenglow Expeditions has the reputation for paying at or above market for all the Sherpa assistance that we're receiving. Next question is, where do you go potty? Here at base camp, as well as in advanced base camp, there is a potty tent. Where we go? As we get into higher up camps, there will not be a potty tent, but there will be a potty area. I'm not going to go into too much more detail. If you really want the details of potty etiquette on big mountains, you can definitely Google it. Next question is, how is the food so far? Down here in base camp, the food is excellent. The Sherpas are doing a great job of making sure that we are well hydrated and well fed so that we can preserve as much energy as possible for the mission ahead of us. When you're trekking up, does the group stop to eat or use the bathroom, or do you stop individually? So we have a group of 9 climbers and 6 guides with Sherpas assisting all of us. There are breaks. So during breaks, everybody has an opportunity to hydrate and to eat whatever snacks they're carrying with them. And if you have to go, you have to go. Next question is, are your Sherpas experienced? Very. Alpenglow Expeditions uses a highly experienced team of Sherpas. We have 16 that are assisting in caring for us on the mountain, both, cooking and with climbing assistance. And amongst them, they have over 100 summits of Mount Everest. Next question is, are there any interesting rituals that the Sherpas perform? Yes, definitely. Higher up, I'm not sure exactly at which camp. I think it's at Advanced Base Camp when we leave to the higher camps. The Sherpas do have a singing and dancing ritual that they perform for all of the climbers to wish them luck as they ascend further up the mountain. I can't wait to be part of that ritual. Next question is, how is your mental state at this point? My mental state is really, really optimistic. I'm as excited as I've ever been. It's kind of surreal that I'm actually here at base camp about to ascend this mountain, but I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't nervous. Everybody describes this as the hardest thing they've ever done in their life, and I know this is not going to be a cakewalk for anybody. And I'm super excited, yet, and cautiously optimistic that we're going to be successful. But it's going to be tough, and I can't wait to see what the next couple of weeks brings. The next question is, which stretch of the journey are you most worried about? Are there any particular parts you are not looking forward to? There aren't any specific parts that I'm not looking forward to. Obviously, Summit Day is going to be probably the hardest day of my life. It is for most people. That's how they describe it. But I am still looking forward to it because it's going to result, hopefully, in a summit. The other parts, there are going to be some technical parts, some parts less technical. They're all going to be hard because we're going to go higher and higher. The main thing that really concerns me is just temperatures. My fingers easily get cold, as do my toes. I have heated socks and heated gloves, which most climbers do these days, hopefully to mitigate some of that cold. But yeah, that's my biggest concern is the cold. And as far as various parts of the mountain, I'm looking forward to exploring and experiencing every single part of the journey from base camp all the way up to the summit. Next question is, do you feel more prepared or less prepared than the average Everest hiker? That's a great question. I did everything humanly possible to prepare myself for this climb. I think I'm as prepared as I can be. Are there people in better shape? Sure. There's climbers here that are a lot younger than me. There's climbers here that are older than me. So I think I'm as prepared as I can be, and that's the most I can do. The next question is, how much did you spend on your trip in total, and what is the cost breakdown? Well, I won't pay and tell, but I will tell you that there is a fantastic article on climbing.com that was recently written about a month ago about the various costs to summit Mount Everest. It's a great article. I highly encourage anybody interested in the cost to read it. I will summarize it by saying that costs start at $30,000 and can go up to as high as $220,000. Permits alone are around $15,000, and then the rest of the cost depends on how much support you're going to be hiring. The support starts from as little as 1 Sherpa, which is required on both sides, on the south side in Nepal and the north side in Tibet. And from a single Sherpa, you can go all the way up to a pretty luxurious program, especially down in base camp and advanced base camp. Once you get past those camps, all luxury is thrown out the window because you're living in some pretty brutal environments. So yeah, the range is 30 to about 220. $1,000, depending on how much support you're getting and how much creature comforts you want while you're at base camp and advanced base camp. Next question is, how was your process actually going from sitting in your house to being at base camp? I'm assuming by process you mean the exercise regimen that's required. It's pretty intense. It requires a ton of lower body strength and conditioning. I've done more squats, step-ups, and lunges in the last nine months than I have in my entire life combined. It requires a lot of hiking with a heavy pack for hours on end, and it requires a pretty strict diet to make sure that you show up at base camp in the best shape possible. The next question is, have you developed any rituals, mindsets, or support systems that help you push through fear but work with it? The best ritual that I have is visualization exercises. I'm a huge fan of visualization. The human mind does not know the difference between an event that was actually occurred or that has been properly envisioned. And if you envision something properly and often, you're actually subconsciously programming yourself to take all the necessary actions and make the proper decisions to go towards that goal. So in my mind, I have been at the top of Everest thousands of times. Therefore, I believe I've made all the necessary decisions up until this point, to get me here in the best physical and mental shape possible. So visualization is the biggest tool that I've used. And from a support system perspective, I am blessed with friends and family that understand what I'm doing and are encouraging me to obviously get home safely and to hopefully get the summit that I want. So my support system is phenomenal and I'm blessed to have it. And the visualization ritual, I think, is a phenomenal tool in addition to daily praying. I believe in God and I pray on a daily basis, and hopefully that will assist me as well. Next question is, what scares you most about the climb and how do you manage it mentally, physically, and emotionally? Well, I think I mentioned prior that what scares me most is the temperature and how my fingers and toes are going to deal with it, despite the mitigation that I put forward in terms of heated socks and heated gloves. So I've mitigated as much of what I'm scared of. Nothing else about the climb really scares me. I've hired the best possible guiding company. And I think because of all of their combined experiences, we're going to have the safest summit attempt possible and the safest expedition in whole possible. So a lot of that fear has been mitigated and I'm in the game, a little nervous, not scared, just nervous, and just can't wait for what the next 2 to 3 weeks brings. Next question is, can you talk about your relationship with fear? That's a great question. I guess fear is similar to risk, right? I wholeheartedly believe that life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. That's where true learning occurs. And I don't like to take risk for the sake of taking risk, but I do like to take risk for the sake of learning and experiencing new things. So I wholeheartedly embrace it, and I look forward to what comes out on the other end. Next question is shrinkage more shrunk at the summit? I think the answer is no, because of the 4 or 5 layers of clothing that we will be wearing to prevent that. But I also have some incredible friends that have given me a wonderful farewell present. I can't even begin to describe what this is for the listeners, so you're going to have to switch over to the YouTube channel to see this gift that I received, which is going to help address the issue that you just posed to me. So thank you to my friends that have given me this gift. And I'm pretty confident that shrinkage will not be an issue up on top. Next question is, in what ways do you anticipate your life changing by reaching the summit? Great question. I think I'm going to have a phenomenal experience to look back on, so that when something challenging happens in life, and I'm not saying if, it's a matter of when, because life is challenging, I'm always going to be able to look back at this experience and remember how I overcame this massive challenge ahead of me. The mission ahead is far from simple. It's not easy. It's going to be fraught with challenges. And I'm always going to have this memory to look back upon to say, hey, if I got that done, I can tackle whatever it is that I'm dealing with currently, whatever that may be in the future. Next question is, did you bring any money with you, cash and or cards? The answer is yes. We were given recommendations for how much to tip our Sherpas, both the kitchen and assistant staff, as well as the climbing staff that's going to help us up the mountain. Yes, there was plenty of cash in all of our bags. Next question is, did sleeping at home in the tent help you? You're referring to the pre-acclimatization routine that we've been going through, sleeping in a hypoxico tent for over a month. And the answer is yes. We had an acclimatization hike yesterday where we went from base camp, which is 17,200 feet, to over 19,000 feet. And we've only been in base camp for 5 nights. Without that pre-acclimatization, there's no way we could have easily gone from 17.2 to 19. So our bodies are definitely pre-acclimatized, and that process has significantly cut down the duration of this trip. Next question is, what kind of alcohol did you bring with you? And are you using any of the ice from the mountain to put in your drinks? Whoever asked this question knows me well. I personally did not bring any alcohol with me, though Alpenglow Expeditions tent is very well stocked with celebratory drinks for us when we come back down. None of us are partaking in any of the inventory currently, but I'm sure we will be once we come back down from the top. And yes, we will be using ice from the mountain to make our drinks. Great question. Next question is, how heavy is all the gear that you are taking? How much gear do you have on you? Is there a perfect weight range? Every climber here has about 100 pounds of gear that they brought, and that does not include all of the tents, cooking utensils, et cetera, that the Sherpas are using to care for us. All in all, there's probably 21,000 pounds of group gear and personal gear, but individually it's about 100 pounds. And we will have Sherpa and Yak assist to get the gear from here at base camp up until intermediary camp and then up until advanced base camp. And then from there, we will be carrying our own gear. Personally, we will have anywhere from 20 to 40 pounds in our backpack at any point in time. Next question is, how long do you stay on top? I've read a lot about Everest summits, and the stay on top ranges from 5 seconds, literally. If you're in bad weather or there's bad weather coming in and you still have 10 hours left to get to your highest camp, you can't stay up very long at all. And there have been other expeditions that have had complete bluebird days where people have been able to stay on top and celebrate and take pictures and take it all in for over an hour. So hopefully that answers your question. 5 seconds to over an hour. Last question is, how is base camp an experience living up to expectations? Our expectations so far, and I speak for all of the members of Alpenglow Expedition. By the way, Alpenglow refers to its clients as members, which I think is a fascinating concept, but that's for another podcast. Everybody's expectations so far have been exceeded. The cultural experience of getting from China, through Tibet and up until base camp has been great. We've been staying in great hotels, eating great food. And once we've got to base camp, our expectations have been exceeded as far as all the amenities that we have here. So expectations through the roof, but the best is yet to come from a climbing experience. And I can't wait to leave base camp tomorrow and start heading up the mountain. Thank you to everybody that has submitted questions. I really enjoyed answering them. If you have any more, you can find me on LinkedIn or on Instagram, and I'll be happy to answer them when I can. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Built to Finish podcast. If you enjoyed it, please do like and subscribe. Until next time. That's a wrap for this episode of Built to Finish. Thank you for tuning in. For show notes and more details, head over to podcast.stevenpivnik.com. Special thank you to our sponsor, Acclimatization, offering tailored, high-impact advisory services that help founders get to their finish line with a strategic acquisition or majority investor recapitalization. Catch you next week.